Welcome back. Chapter 7. Train met Virgil at Quill's house the next morning at 8 o'clock. She was looking fashionable in a dark blue blouse and black slacks with the low-heeled black boots. Virgil was wearing the same thing he'd worn the day before, except that he changed to a lamb chop t-shirt. Train was unlocking the door as Virgil walked up, and she said, "My rational side says there's not a chance in hell. My gut thinks I'm onto something. After you were talking about it last night, I had that damn song stuck in my head until I went to sleep, and this idea popped up. The song didn't go away though. Probably going to be with me all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play." "Please stop," Virgil said. "And you know how to destroy any earworm? Tell me, you hum that Walt Disney thing, It's a Small World? It'll kill anything. But it's such a miserable song, such complete shit. It won't stay stuck in your head on its own," Virgil said as they climbed the stairs to Quill's office. "It'll kill, but it won't hang out." "Like whoever murdered Quill," she said. "Over in that direction," Virgil agreed. In the office, they turned on the CD player, and a minute later were listening to Home on the Range. Virgil picked up a remote and skipped to the next track, and Get Along Little Doggy came up. "This is awful," he said, and he pushed the skip button again. A man's voice. "Man, you can't go ahead with this. It's unethical at best. It's dangerous at worst. You could kill him." Train said, "Oh my God," just like a Valley Girl. A second man on the recording, maybe Quill. "He's gonna die, and soon. Maybe he's got a mouth. Probably less. Right now, he's willing himself to die. He's given permission." Third man. "His permission is worthless. The only time he can give permission is when he's in extreme pain, and he'll do anything to stop it. If he gives you permission, he gets opiates. If he doesn't give permission, you'll argue some more, and that'll delay the dope. You can't do that. You were essentially torturing him to get what you want." The second man. "You guys have to sign off on this. There's a good possibility that we'll never encounter this situation again. If this works as it should, it'll be a major breakthrough. We're talking about tens of thousands of lives around the world." First man. "That you might not even be able to write about, to publish, because the ethical problems are so clear." Second man. "We can have that fight later, after it's done. Maybe we could obfuscate the precise circumstances to some degree." Third man. "Oh, bullshit. The committee's not going to sign off on this. You go strutting in there like a peacock and expect them to fall over." Second man. "They'll fall over if you recommend we go ahead. Listen, they'll go ahead if your, I have to say, inaccurate suggestion about his state of mind isn't mentioned." The recording cut out. Train looked at Virgil and said, "This can't be an original recording, not on a CD." Virgil nodded. "You're right. It's a re-recording. But why? Blackmail?" They were talking about human experimentation. If it's blackmail, why hide it behind a couple of cowboy songs? "I don't know about that part," Train said. "I've got a doctor I could talk to about the experimentation, see if he can clarify the situation." "He might not want to. He might even have to report it to somebody, and we wouldn't want that to happen until we're ready for it," Virgil said. "He won't report it." "You sure?" "I'm sure. I can get it done in a hurry," Train said. "The fact is, I'm sleeping with him." "That's more information than I needed," Virgil said, "and that doesn't guarantee." "The other thing is, he's my husband," Train said. "Ah, then we're okay. I was wondering where those Louis Vuitton boots came from on a cop's salary. I saw the red soles when you were walking up the steps outside." Fist to hips. "You were thinking I was crooked?" "I was thinking you were looking good," Virgil said. "You do know how to dodge a bullet, Train said with another of her uncommon smiles. Train walked to talk to her husband, who was planning to spend the afternoon with his sketching group but would still be at home. After I talked to him, I'm going back to wife number 3. Maybe she knows exactly what situation they were talking about, who they were going to experiment on. I'll see if I can find Combs, Virgil said. And, hey Train, you did good. I wouldn't have thought of the CD in 100 years. That makes us even, Train said. I never would have seen the tricky desk. Virgil called Davenport about Combs. Davenport went away for a minute, then came back and gave him a phone number for a lawyer named Carlton Lane, who referred him to a lawyer named Shelley Carter, who gave him Combs' personal cell phone number and said, "Don't tell him I sold him out to a cop." Combs was on the 16th green at his golf club about to putt. He told Virgil, but would be done in a half an hour or so. Come to the clubhouse. I'll meet you in the grill. You can grill me. Combs lived in the prosperous St. Paul suburb of North Oaks, which was north of St. Paul and had a lot of oaks, and for what Virgil had been told, had a decent private golf course set among architectural challenge McMansions. He'd never been on the course, which wasn't disappointing since he ranked golf only slightly above thumb wrestling and joggling as a sport. He suspected the members wouldn't let him on the green anyway. Saturday traffic slowed him down, and though North Oaks was only 10 miles or so from Quill's house, it took a half an hour to make the trip. Combs had just come off the course when Virgil walked in from the parking lot. He was a beefy, sun-reddened, square-jawed guy with square white teeth, his brown hair going a little gray at the temples, maybe looking like a high school tight end gone slightly to seed. He had on a red golf shirt like Tiger Woods wore, and maybe still did, and plaid golf shorts. He was sitting with 3 other men when he was pointed out to Virgil. As Virgil walked over, he stood up to shake hands and said to his friends, "Gotta talk to this guy. Be right back." They got a table away from the patrons, and Combs asked, "What's up? This about Barth? Want a beer?" "No, thanks. I'm working. I'd take a Diet Coke." When Virgil had his Coke, he said, "We're talking a lot of Barth friends. We're talking to a lot of Barth's friends. I hear you're dead in the water. If you're talking to me, you must be deader than I heard." "We started to make progress in the last few days," Virgil said. "How'd you get my phone number?" Virgil lied. "I don't know. I'm friends with Lucas Davenport, who you know, and I asked him to make some calls. He did and got me the number." I'll tell you something about Davenport in basketball. You don't want to be standing in the paint when he's coming through," Combs said. "He'll lay that hockey defenseman shit on your ass and you'll wind up in the bleachers." "He says you can shoot," Virgil said. "Jock bonding," Combs was pleased. "I do have my moments." "Then so." "Yeah, how close were you and Dr. Quill?" "Hell, not really close. We didn't go out drinking or anything. He came to my Christmas party most years. He kind of liked my old lady. We did play handball most Friday afternoons when we were both in town." Virgil dropped his voice. "Here's the thing, Jack. I mean, you've done criminal law. You know what we do. We're looking for people who Dr. Quill might have been involved with and who might have a propensity to violence. Combs, that's not me." Virgil took a nip of his Diet Coke and said, "That's not where I was going. We pretty much tore apart his house and we found the remnants of an 8-ball of cocaine hidden in a desk drawer. You've dealt with druggies. Did you ever see any sign that Dr. Quill was using cocaine? Did you ever see him with anybody who might have been dealing it to him?" Combs was already shaking his head. "You gotta know that I've defended a lot of these guys, court-appointed deals. Sure, I know the signs, all of them. I can look at 2 guys and tell you which one is a coke freak and which one is a meth head. I'll tell you this. Barth Quill never in his life used cocaine. He didn't know any coke dealers. The whole idea is laughable. But Combs shook off the interruption. No buts. Look, what you really want to know is if I might have slipped him a little coke, if I might have introduced him to one of my clients. The answer is no. If I even suggested that he might like a little chemical fun, he would cross me off his list as friends. You know the phrase, rectally challenged? I'm not. That's the lawyer version of, he's got a corn cob stuck up his ass. I know that one, Virgil said. Well, that was Barth. He was a guy who'd get out of the shower to pee. A good guy, but stiff. Way stiff. You say something a little off color, and it would take him 5 seconds to decide to laugh, and you knew he didn't approve. Then why was he a good guy? Combs shrugged. He just was. My wife went into the university hospital to get her tits done up, and she was in there 3 days. He stopped in twice a day, brought her flowers, chatted with her, talked to her surgeon, explained some technical stuff to her. That was Barth. He had his own street guy, this beggar, who waited for him outside the hospital buildings every morning, and Barth would give him $10 every day. Told me that with $10 you can get enough calories at a Burger King to survive. Probably kept the guy alive because he thought he should. He didn't want anyone to thank him either. It wasn't charity, it was his duty. His wives didn't like him much, Virgil said, because he was stiff and he could have a mean mouth. He didn't want to be that way, but he couldn't help it. He could dance, by the way. He was a hell of a dancer. Ask his wives about that. But no cocaine, no coke. Virgil kicked back in his chair, looked at Combs. He knew the kind of guy Combs was. He might have tasted a little cocaine from time to time, probably drank a little too much, probably was okay to his wife, probably had a couple of kids, and they were probably pretty good kids. Probably liked to watch a ball game in the evenings, any kind of ball you could name. Probably knew his way around a fishing boat, but wasn't a fanatic about it. Probably slapped backs. A lot of probablys, I was about to say. But Virgil thought he was probably right. And Virgil thought he was telling the truth. That was always disturbing in a source. Virgil signed, stood up, stuck out his hand. Jack, I appreciate it. I probably won't need to, but if I do, I might call you again. Anytime, Combs said. Combs went back to his friends, and Virgil walked out to the parking lot. As he was pulling out, Combs came out of the clubhouse and waved him down. Virgil pulled up next to him and dropped his side window. Combs said, had a thought. Maybe talk to Barth's daughter. She's a college kid, kind of out there. I was thinking about the coke. He mentioned one time that she was having some problems hanging out with the wrong people. I don't know exactly what that meant. Could have meant like slackers. In Barth's eyes, that'd be as bad as dopers. He might have meant something rougher, though. I don't know, but he was bothered. I thought he didn't have much to do with his daughter, Virgil said. He didn't until she started going to college and messing up. Then they talked, at least occasionally. He mentioned once that she'd been over the night before. It might have been about money, probably was to some extent. And I might not know what I'm talking about. She might be a real princess. I'll check, Virgil said. Thank you. Virgil drove out to the street, pulled over, and called Train. Train was in her car. I talked to my husband. He's an internist, not a research scientist, but he knows some things. Basically, he said that the university would have a committee that would have to approve human experimentations. With what was on the CD, there's no way they would give it. He also thought that there was no way that Quill could have avoided getting it either. No way around the rules. As it turns out, that doesn't mean anything for us. It doesn't? There could be a motive. I talked to Nancy Quill. She listened to the recording, and the first thing she said was, "That's not Barth. None of them is Barth." Virgil thought about it silently until she said, "Hello? You still there?" Then why would he have the recording? After he got it, why would he keep it? Why would he have been listening to it just before he died? I can't believe that CD was in the player for very long. He obviously listened to a lot of music, and he had about 1,000 CDs in there. I don't know the answers to any of that, Train said. Was he doing something with the computer in the library he didn't want anyone to know about and somehow tied into the CD? Maybe he was reviewing the CD before he met somebody over there to talk about it. How about this? Quill was given the CD by one of those guys arguing against human experimentation. Something bad happened, like the experiment went bad and the patient died. Virgil said, Quill didn't know who it was on the CD. He planned on giving it to the committee and maybe even the cops, but he wanted to check it out first to make sure he wasn't being played. And somebody on the CD killed him to keep the secret safe, because if the secret wasn't kept, some big shot doctors could be looking at murder charges. Yes, I like that, Train said. I like that a lot. But who are the other people? Doctors. What doctors and when? I don't know. What do you think? Maybe talk to some of his medical associates, the guys who actually do the surgeries for him. Find out what they think. You got to be careful, Margaret. You don't want to play that CD for the wrong guy, even if he's wearing a white doctor's coat. Not to worry. I've got a big gun and I'm nervous. Now, what are you doing? He told her about his interview with Combs. I believe him. Only one problem with that, Train said. We know that Quill, we know that Quill had cocaine and that somebody had used some of it. Maybe not Quill. Maybe he provided it to the hypothetical hookers you were talking about. You say that the drawers in that desk were in all that secret because your grandfather had one like that. Well, guess what? My grandfather didn't. And I'd be willing to bet that 99.9% of the people out there didn't have grandfathers who did. Those drawers were secret for normal people. I never would have found that coke in 50 years, and the crime scene guys didn't either. That toot was put in the desk by Quill. You're saying I'm not normal? I thought there was a substantial agreement on that. Virgil told Train that he wanted to make a run at Quill's daughter. You know, I got nothing useful from her. But go ahead, Train said. Maybe if a cowboy blows softly in her ear, she'll cough something up. You think she's needy? That's a kind of way of putting it, but yes, Train said. She's a sad sack. She wants somebody to love her, and she's nice enough looking, but she's annoying. She winds up sleeping with people who want the sex, but not the woman. You'll see. Where am I going to find her? You know, it's Saturday, so she'll probably still be asleep if she's home. She's over in St. Paul. Let me give you the address. That's the end of chapter 7. Okay. Did we get anything from this? I think we did, but I can't pinpoint what it is. Let me think. Okay, so they didn't say, okay, so there was 3 people on the CD, right? And Virgil think is doctors, right? So I don't know, because they haven't talked too much about doctors. They talk about colleagues, right? So was Quill was against the human experiments, right? But who recorded this conversation? Because they said Quill wasn't part of the conversation. So it was just between the 3 people. And then the CD ended up in Quill's possession. So that means one of the people was with Quill against it, and he gave Quill the CD for what? Leverage somehow. But who is the three people? Yeah, so hopefully they can hear the voice and recognize and match it up as they start talking to people and match the voices up. But that CD got me intrigued. I want to know what it's about. But that's all I have for chapter 7. I didn't have any words that I stumbled over because I knew them. So I shall see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.